List by Trump's latest brilliant move. Independent Journal Review is reporting John McCain's reaction to the debt ceiling deal President Trump just struck with Democrats. The agreement funds the federal government until December and provides sufficient funding to bring relief to Hurricane Harvey victims. Trump's agreement to the deal has sidelined Rhino Republicans such as Paul Ryan and now is apparently throwing senior establishment politicians like McCain off their game as well. Advertisement. In recent weeks McCain has badmouthed the president abroad and insulted him at home, so it's not exactly a surprise he would also come out against this savvy deal. The Arizona senator is reportedly stunned by the deal. "Haven't seen anything like it before," McCain said in remarks to the Washington Post. "I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but I don't understand this." Advertisement. He was joined by other Rhino voices such as Pretty Boy Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska. Apparently Trump gave no warning to Mitch McConnell and other GOP leaders that he was going to sign onto the debt ceiling agreement. It left Ryan, McConnell and others stunned. "It's called the art of the deal, guys. Maybe he didn't want you to sabotage him like you always try to do." Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders made it clear that more deals with the Democrats are definitely possible. "Here's how this works: McCain, Ryan, McConnell and team. If a deal moves forward the Make America Great Again agenda, the deal gets signed. If a deal doesn't move forward the Make America Great Again agenda, it gets scrapped. Pretty simple, no? McCain, Ryan and their ilk should stop pretending Trump owes them loyalty and should bow to them. They owe him loyalty after a campaign of sabotaging him and a record of stabbing him in the back his entire presidency. Their arrogance that they think he should now care about their confusion and corporate agendas is ridiculous." Sanders put it best on this one. "The American people wanted somebody to be a leader," she said. "They wanted somebody that was going to step up and take action and get things done, and that is exactly what the president did. Boom. Guess what leader they didn't pick when they had a chance? John McCain. Seriously, John, give it a rest and support our president. Please, for the good of our country, stop bad-talking and undermining the work he is trying to do." What do you think of John McCain's latest disparaging comments about President Kellyanne Conway sends brutal message to liberal media during Time interview? Kellyanne Conway sat down for an interview and photo shoot with Time magazine. Because she was correctly named to Time's new list of women who are changing the world. She made the list for, among other things, being the first woman to run a winning presidential campaign in American history. Advertisement. Congratulations, Kellyanne. You deserve it. But in typical fashion she couldn't help herself taking a dig at the liberal media. And she did it with a huge medallion around her neck. She told Time in the interview, advertisement, "I grew up an only child in a very unconventional household that contained my mother, her mother and two of my mother's unmarried sisters. 4 Italian Catholic women. I call them South Jersey's version of the Golden Girls, wearing the housecoats with the snaps and everything. I was taught to be self-possessed, respectful, decorous, patient, kind and generous, wonderful, positive attributes that serve you well in life. But I was also taught to be a little self-denying, even as some women would find that shocking, wondering why is that a positive attribute? To be part of a team or a household where other people's interests and needs share space with yours requires skills best formed early in life, particularly for an only child who is otherwise spoiled. It has served me well, whether at my company or working in the legal and consulting professions, and certainly in managing Donald Trump's presidential campaign and working in the White House. I was taught to be a very strong, independent and free-thinking woman without ever hearing the words feminist or Republican or liberal. I appreciate that so much, to have not been fed labels and taught definitions, but instead to have been given the foundation upon which to develop my own strengths to my best and highest use throughout my educational, professional and maternal endeavors." Well said, Kellyanne. The medallion? It has the presidential seal and the words, "President of the United States, Donald Trump." Perfect. TIGR. Breaking: Supreme Court smacks liberal Ninth Circuit judges, rules in favor of Trump. The Supreme Court smacks liberals around on Monday when the court lifted the restrictions President Trump's travel ban that was initially blocked by a liberal activist posing as a federal judge. In a one-page order that was approved by Justice Anthony Kennedy, the court for the time being blocked the portion of last week's Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling that stopped the government from forbidding refugees entry. Refugees can go to the other nations in Africa and the Middle East that aren't going to war. This is all a takeover of the Western world in an attempt to turn it into a third world. Advertisement. The Supreme Court's decision came less than 2 hours after Acting Solicitor General Jeffrey Wall filed a request for a stay. Last week, Ninth Circuit stopped the federal government from turning away grandparents, aunts, uncles and other extended family members of a person in the U.S. from entering the country. The administration isn't fighting the close family portion of the injunction. Advertisement. Unlike students who have been admitted to study at an American university, workers who have accepted jobs at an American company, and lecturers who come to speak to an American audience, refugees did not have any freestanding connection to resettlement agencies, separate and apart from the refugee admissions process itself, by virtue of the agency's assurance agreement with the government, Wall wrote. The Supreme Court smacks liberals around when it tells them that the travel ban is legal and is upheld for the most part. The reality of the travel ban is one to protect Americans, even the liberals. Why would they fight so hard to turn the U.S. into a third world country? The Trump administration's travel ban blocks travelers from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen from entering the U.S. for 90 days. The Supreme Court will hear arguments in 2 cases that have been consolidated challenging the ban on October 10. What do you think of this good news? Donald and Melania Trump pay respects to victims of 9/11 in most patriotic way. At exactly 9:37 a.m. this morning, Trump and his wife Melania lead a moment of silence at the exact same time just 16 years ago when American Airlines Flight 77, a plane carrying 64 passengers and crew members headed to Los Angeles, crashed into the site of the Pentagon. Vice President Mike Pence will be at a 9/11 ceremony in Shanksville, PA, which is site of the crash of Flight 93. There will be a memorial to the victims who died on board. Advertisement. President Trump declared September 11, in a presidential proclamation, to be Patriot Day. Good choice for all the many who lose their lives in the tragedy and those who responded to the tragedy, as well as the brave men and women who chose to take on the hijackers and crash the plane rather than let it be used as a missile. Trump said in a statement, September 11, 2001, will forever be one of the most tragic days in American history. Through the unimaginable despair, however, ordinary Americans etched into our history remarkable illustrations of bravery, of sacrifice for one another, and of dedication to our shared values. The shock from the indelible images of the smoke rising from the World Trade Center and Pentagon gave way to countless inspiring videos of co-workers helping one another to safety, of heroes running into collapsing buildings to save the innocent people trapped within, and to the unforgettable story of the patriots who charged the cockpit of Flight 93 to save untold numbers of lives. Trump fires shot heard round the world with planned embargo, blockade of North Korea. This is big. This is huge. This should teach the little brat on North Korea a lesson and prove to all the liberals that there are still things we can do to try to tame the situation. Liberals are defeatists and fold at the nearest sign of trouble. Advertisement. According to The Guardian, Trump is set to make a bold move against North Korea. The United States plans to introduce tough new measures including an oil embargo and, in what will surely cause huge controversy, a partial naval blockade of North Korea. Boom. Advertisement. These plans will be introduced to the United Nations for a vote, so they are not a certainty, although Trump could order the U.S. military to do it without the UN if he wanted. According to the report, the draft United Nations resolution authorizes naval vessels of any UN member state to inspect North Korean ships suspected of carrying banned cargo. Any ship can do this, but Trump added one important aspect: he is authorizing, or the UN eventually will, but this is what he wants, the use of all necessary measures to carry out such inspections. This means force because, as everyone knows, any attempt to board or divert or threaten a North Korean ship could, or most probably would, trigger an exchange of fire by the North Koreans which will be answered. And that is how things start. The UN resolution that The Guardian saw claims the oil embargo bans exports of crude oil, condensates, refined petroleum products, and natural gas liquids to North Korea. Basically, North Korea will be cut off from outside oil products, which will hurt bad. Additionally, the resolution includes a prohibition on buying North Korean textiles and will put an end to the hiring of North Korean nationals because the regime uses the foreign currency earned through these to support its prohibited nuclear and ballistic missile programs.